This is it.
That was real cool.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 76 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. It's all three of us here, Dave, Christian, and Matt, coming to you live from our parents' basement outside of Philadelphia. So we're happy to be here.
Did you just do Dave, Christian, and Matt?
No, I did Christian,
Dave, Matt,
yeah,
Christian.
Yeah.
This is Christian.
Hi.
Oh, man. Are we being
That's
glitchy
me.
here? All right, I hope not.
A little
All
bit.
right, there's
It's
Matt.
okay.
That's fine. We're just going to power through
This
it.
is Dave.
Do you have a trivia question?
Oh, yeah, I think I did.
Phone's over there.
Oh, so far.
Yeah, I know.
You
I
have
made
to
him
check
move the
over there.
phone away.
Don't bring it by
because
here. Don't bring it by here.
too
Don't bring it.
close. That's going to be annoying for people.
They're not even going to hear it.
They won't
Well,
hear the
the
actual
YouTube.
podcast, but people who are watching on YouTube will hear it.
All those people.
Yeah. So we're going to do this thing live probably for the next 2 weeks, I think.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll be
2
around.
weeks.
I'll be around next week.
Oh, no.
We're
1
going to
week.
be live from the
Wait,
shore
will
next
you?
week,
Yeah, we
guys.
will be live from the
Jersey
shore next
Shore.
Will he be here? Will he be at the shore?
Yeah, on Sunday.
I'm coming down Friday.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So we'll all be together from the Jersey Shore. It's going to be
Jersey.
swell.
Going to Jersey.
It's going to be
Ever seen the show? That's exactly where we're
That's
going.
exactly
lots
what we're gonna
of
be like,
fun.
too.
Yep. We go out. We go fist bumping.
Go raging.
All that stuff. All right. So before we get into stuff, if you have any comments on anything we say or do here while we're talking, that is just fantastic, and we would love to hear from you. Okay, we would love to hear from you as we go along. So if you have any comments on anything that we're talking about, please let us know in the comment section, and we will respond to you. Christian is hard at work trying to find a trivia question. As always, we are extremely prepared to get this thing going.
Typically, I have it ready, so don't believe this bullshit.
That's not true
That was
whatsoever.
me talking, in case you couldn't tell.
Yeah, that's Dave.
Yeah, I'm Dave. Hey.
Yeah.
I never prepared.
So,
I'm Dave.
Yep. That was well done. All right, Matt is he's going out.
Send myself an email.
He's got places to be, so we are he's pulling a Christian this week. That's what we call it in the Knittel family. You pull a Christian when you have other commitments, aren't really into what the rest of the family's doing and all of that.
I got it. This is a good one.
Okay.
This is a good one.
All right. So with that, I think we're ready to jump into the podcast this week.
Paul Scholes. I don't know. That's the answer.
Damn. I better ask another question.
Yeah, totally. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 76 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Knittel, and I'm here with my brothers Christian and Matt to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, how are you doing today?
I'm just great, Dave. How are you doing today?
I'm doing swell. I had a bachelor party this weekend, not my own. Went to a friend's down in Baltimore, and surprisingly doing pretty well. I was expecting to be exceptionally hungover, not feeling great, but doing okay. Voice is holding up.
What'd you guys do?
We pretty much just went out to bars, kind of drank at the apartment or Airbnb, and then went out to bars. So
That's fun.
lots of fun. Yeah, and anybody who's seen the show Hot Ones on YouTube, we did like a version of that, so that was a lot of fun. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dave. Thanks for asking. I'm excited to be home, done at Penn State, so feel good.
Not forever.
Yeah, not forever, but long enough.
For a little bit, for one night.
Yeah.
So we are actually all together for the first time in quite some time, coming to you live from our parents' basement. So we're excited to be doing this. Christian, do you have our trivia question for this week?
Dave, I am never, ever not prepared. I am ready for this trivia question this week. This week, Manchester United played at the Amex Stadium, which is the 58th round they visited. Okay?
The Amex Stadium?
Is
Did
that-
you say the Amex?
What did I say?
You said Amex. The Amex, like American Express.
Isn't that what I... Oh, did I not say that right?
You just put an emphasis in an
On the wrong
odd.
syllable.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Amex.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Amex.
sorry. You got me confused. Okay. So, Man U played... That was their 58th round. They won at the previous 50. Only 2 teams have won at more stadiums. Can you name them, and how many wins did they have?
Okay. Good question. We will think on that, and we will give our guesses at the end of the podcast. Before we get into our topics this week, as always, we're going to give a plug to our favorite partner, StadiumScene.com. StadiumScene.com is your travel guide to stadiums in the United States. So they have things to do both before and after games that you are attending. Doesn't have to just be soccer games. You can be any stadium in the U.S. They have bars, restaurants, parking situations, all different kinds of things. So go check them out before you go to a stadium in the United United States. Additionally, they partner with content creators like us who have blog posts, podcasts, videos, so on and so forth. And, they partner with them. And so you can find all different kinds of content. That is over on stadiumscene.tv. Everything will be consolidating onto Stadium Scene. Everything will be consolidating onto stadiumscene.tv in the near future. Sorry, we're all laughing because I'm trying to get something set up on the computer, and the image that we had up was just Matt looking incredibly interested in everything that's happening right now. All right, but let's get into our topics this week, guys. All right, let's pull it back together. Our first topic we wanted to talk about, Jose Mourinho recently came out and said that he is playing some other center backs for Manchester United who have already locked up second place in the Premier League in order to help them get into their World Cup squads ahead of Eric Bailly, who plays for the Ivory Coast and is not going to the World Cup, even though Bailly may have earned that, from his play. Christian, what do you make of Jose kind of doing this? Do you think it's fair to Bailly to do this? Do you think it's fair to the other players? Is this something that he should be applauded for? What do you think?
I think he should be applauded for it in some regard. I think he's doing well as a player manager. He's giving the opportunity to players who really haven't had much of a shout. And if their teams are going to the World Cup and they're on the fence or on that bubble, it's great that they're getting that opportunity. And I think they already have second place pretty much locked up. So it's not like it's costing him anything. Why not? I think it's a good move from Jose.
But if they haven't earned it, is it right?
So, but I don't know if he would play someone who hasn't earned the right to play. Yeah, they might not be better than Bailly. I don't know. I don't think Bailly has been great this year. He's an excellent FIFA player, though, in case anyone wanted to know. I really I don't think he's an outstanding world-class center back. And if someone else has that opportunity to prove themselves in both for United and for their national team, you should be giving them that opportunity.
Okay, fair enough. Matt, what do you think? Is this all right?
Yeah, I have no problem with Jose doing this. I mean, understandably, the World Cup is the biggest stage, and I think Jose understands that, and getting as many players as he can on his own club, I think that's only better for, just like whole club morale. The better achievements a player gets, probably the happier they're going to be. So I don't have any problem with him doing it, especially because they already have second place locked up. It's not going to hinder their season at all.
So you guys both think it's a good man management strategy from him. I mean, I tend to take a slightly different view. I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, and this may be the right thing to do on a man management basis, but a lot of players, like in their contracts, they have appearance bonuses. They have, win bonuses and things like that. And this is legitimately costing Bailly money. Yeah, it may not be like big in the grand scheme of things, but he's a professional. And if he's working hard in training, and he should be earning that money and should be earning those minutes, I don't think it's necessarily fair to play somebody else just because their country is going to a World Cup. So,
do you think that you're saying like he's working hard in training? If he knows he's not going to play, do you think he could just like take the next couple weeks off and start his off season early?
Maybe.
But that would be maybe beneficial for like his health and like.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know what he wants. And so, I mean, if that's the case, then and if he's okay with all of this, I think it's fine. And as long as Jose has sort of managed all of that and said, hey, this is the situation, like we're going to give you X, or maybe he's already negotiated that maybe he's going to get appearance bonuses anyways. And, there may be a way around it. And so if he's doing that, then I'm completely okay with it. But I did just want to kind of have that piece of caveat because it's not all just.
I was just going to mention kind of the piece you just brought up as a counterpoint, and it's maybe he already reached that point, and maybe he has hit those hurdles that he has to get over for appearances, and he's already gotten that money. And you know how Jose is such a great man manager. We always talk about it. He's really good at talking to his players about things. He's not, guys, in case you want to know. He may have, though, this time. Maybe he's learning. I don't know. He's not that type to really go back on his style. But maybe he is learning. Maybe he is trying to be more of a man manager than just a tactician, which he's gotten that reputation for.
Okay, yeah. So maybe, that might be the case. And just to bring up the first thing, there are performance bonuses, but there's also every time you're in a match day 18, you get like an additional bonus. Every time there's a win, there's additional bonuses. So it's not always hitting certain hurdles. There is a point where like anytime you do something, you get a bonus. And so that, again, it's probably not large dollars in the grand scheme of things, but there is that sort of component there. Matt, anything else you wanted to add here?
No.
Okay, Christian, you good? All right, let's keep it rolling to the next topic. Steven Gerrard, famous Liverpool player, my favorite player of possibly all time. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that all time. I tried to model my game after him. Anyways, enough about me and my love of Steven Gerrard. He was recently appointed manager of Rangers in Scotland, the arguably second biggest team in Scotland. They are one of the two biggest clubs, but they've gone through some financial issues and so on and so forth. And so now they're probably the second biggest team. He has never had a top-tier manager position. He has been with Liverpool Youth Academy for, 2 years now?
Not even.
Yeah, not even. Yeah. So, Matt, in your opinion, is this fair for Gerrard to already be appointed at this level, having no kind of prior experience? What do you think?
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, obviously, he knows a lot about the game. He's experienced everything to experience at the club level. International stage, he's played in all the big tournaments. You all right? Okay. Yeah, so I don't have a problem with him. I'm sure he knows enough about the game and enough about the tactics to do well. I never have a problem with young coaches being appointed in any sport, really. I think age is I think in all
age
sports,
is just a number. Right?
Yeah, age is just a number. I feel like sometimes the younger coaches might have a better opportunity to connect with their players. And I know Christian's brought this up before. He's done very well at the Liverpool Youth Academy, so maybe it probably is the next step. Maybe not going to the Premier League, but going to the Scottish Premier League, to the English Premier League, I was saying earlier, but going to the Scottish Premier League to see how well he does at one of the biggest clubs there.
Okay. Christian, your thoughts here?
I don't think it's unfair. I think he's a guy who's put so much time into the sport and is a legend of the game, not just at Liverpool, but for England, for all of soccer. He was one of the best midfielders I've ever seen. Obviously, he's my favorite player of all time. We've discussed that many a time. I think he's ready to take that step. My concern is that he's going to a job that's going to be extremely, extremely difficult. He's in a situation where, yeah, he's at a huge club in Scotland, and he's going to be taking on his former manager, who is Brendan Rodgers at Celtic. That is going to be a really fun game to watch now, and I think that rivalry is just going to heat up because there's a bunch of new elements that they've really never seen before. And you watch Gerrard, I watched some highlights, and every time they score goals for their U18 team at Liverpool, his players are always running up to him and celebrating with him. They're hugging him. I think he's that type of manager. I think similar to Klopp. I don't think he's exactly the same. I think Klopp's a little more exaggerated than that, but he is he's beloved by the people that he's around all the time. There's only one player that I've ever heard say anything bad about him, and can't think of what his name was, but he's there at Liverpool.
Joof.
Yeah, it's Joof. That's the one.
And he's had lots of issues with lots of other players.
Exactly.
So I don't know how much we can trust his
Exactly. Opinion. But I think that Gerrard is someone who can take them forward. He's not going to be working with a huge budget. He's coming into a situation where they're kind of growing their image again, but bringing someone who is a legend of the game like this in, similar to Zidane going to Madrid, you never know what type of impact that will have on a team.
Absolutely. And so that's why, for those points, I feel like it's not a difficult position that he's coming into. I think it's very clear Celtic is the best team in Scotland right now. And so Rangers is the second best team by all financial metrics and things like that. And so for him, I almost think it's somewhat less pressure situation because he's going to have a bigger budget than almost every other team in Scotland outside of Celtic. Nobody's going to expect him to immediately come in and beat Celtics. So as long as he doesn't fall way down and is making some sort of progress, I think that he is going to be somewhat fine. And I think this is an interesting initial step. And so he may not have earned this based on his managerial career, but his stellar playing career, I think sometimes it allows guys to skip stages. And so, a lot of people say, star players shouldn't just be given managerial jobs. And, I know Giggs is going through a lot of that right now and dealing with a lot of that stress. And Vieira went a different route because Vieira went and got his coaching badges. He worked up through the Man City Youth Academy. Then he's taken over New York City and MLS and is sort of slowly working his way up. And so there's two different schools of thought. And I think I fall more into the camp of, sometimes star players who have all of that experience should be able to skip some levels. And it may just be completely fair. Anything else?
Well, for Zidane, he was removed for a couple of years. It wasn't like Gerrard. Gerrard's been 4 years since he retired.
I don't even know if it's that long.
Three. A little less than 3.
Yeah, and Zidane was in was he Real Madrid
Castilla,
B?
yeah.
Yeah, he was the B coach. So he did have a couple years. like more years than I would say.
I know,
Yeah.
but he still didn't come through in a traditional sense
Yeah,
of
okay.
like managed at the first team level with smaller clubs and slowly worked his way up. Like think of Jurgen Klopp. He started at Mainz and he was there for 7 years. Then he went to Borussia Dortmund. Now he's at Liverpool and he's slowly working his way up. He's just a manager that comes to mind.
Yeah, but he's not Gerrard or Zidane, and we're talking about like star players.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's what the traditional model
Okay,
of management
yeah.
would be.
So do you think like star players? I'm trying to think what star players have been like great coaches.
They have, but they
Pep
get that
Guardiola.
added benefit. Because they have been around that type of situation, they have been where those players are, and they think that they're going to have that experience, which backfires at times. Not everyone is going to be a great manager, but there are players like Gerrard, who was a captain for over 10 years for one club. He knows how to be in that leadership role. And yes, management is a whole new step. You get a whole added level of pressure. Everything kind of falls on you. But I think he's ready for that type of role. I think Zidane took that on himself. Pep Guardiola took that on himself. And he may follow that model that those two managers have followed over the last couple of years.
And it's interesting because all three of them, I believe, are center midfielders. And so I don't know if it's a positional thing, if it's a leadership type thing. I think it's probably a combination of the two. But and maybe like I feel like defenders may be like other players kind of similar to that, where they kind of see the field that way. And Vieira even too. I mean, we were talking about him earlier. It may just be that kind of position that they need to know.
Strikers and wingers don't make the greatest managers. Like Diego Maradona, players like who are absolute legends of the game, but just don't have that added step to kind of taking your ego out of it and allowing the players to shine the brightest.
And there's a piece of that, and there's also a piece of that star players who are incredibly skilled and talented sometimes can't relate to people who can't do the things that they were able to do. And that's where maybe the leadership component comes in, where they can relate to other people and they have that understanding already built in. Yeah. So Matt, anything else you want to add in closing here? You think Gerrard's going to do well at Rangers, or what do you think?
I think he's going to do pretty well. I don't think they're going to overtake Celtic anytime soon, though.
Okay,
but
fair enough.
I don't think he's going to get fired.
All right, Christian?
Celtic are a huge club, and I don't think in the next year or two he's going to pass them, but I can't wait for the day that he beats Brendan Rodgers for the title. It's going to be an awesome moment. Well,
who knows? Brendan Rodgers may be at Arsenal next year, so we'll be watching for that. He's a legitimate legitimate favorite.
Gunners, you're the worst.
All right. So with that, that's the end of our first segment here. You're going to hear a little bit of music, and we're going to talk to you very, very soon. All right, cool. Who can relate? I think that's an easy episode name. What else did we say?
Yeah, no, not that. I was just thinking of, we're talking about player managers. I'm just thinking about Nesta.
I was just thinking
of the interview. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe
shit.
That's
Gattuso.
Gattuso.
Gattuso's out of his goddamn mind. Anyone who's watching on YouTube, feel free to say hello. Let us know your thoughts on how everything is going. And thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you like things so far.
Gattuso was the one kicking Dybala, right?
Yeah. No, was it Dybala?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why was he with Dybala?
No,
it couldn't have been Dybala. But I think it was. No. Who the hell was it?
I thought it was Dybala.
I think it is Dybala.
But why would that make sense? He was never at Juve. Was Dybala at Milan?
No.
And he's Argentine.
What was that club? FL Fluminense?
Florence?
Fluminense.
No, Fluminense is in Brazil, so it wasn't that.
I thought that's where.
You think of Fiorentina?
No, I don't know. He was kicking them somewhere.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was
story,
definitely
why
Dybala.
was that?
It was the youth coach at somewhere.
But he was never at Juve.
Where did Dybala come from?
No. I think it may have been when he was on like Pisa, or I don't know if Gattuso managed Pisa. I don't know if Dybala was on Pisa, but may have been when Gattuso was at either the end of his career on loan, and Dybala was also on loan somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you might be right. So some combination of everything that we said. Palermo?
Dybala was it? Palermo?
Okay, then maybe
Palermo.
That's where it's all.
I knew it was a pink team.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Very good. Is Fluminense pink?
No, but they remind me of a pink team.
Okay.
You're thinking of Flamingo.
Palmeiras?
Yeah. Flamingo.
All right.
Yeah.
YouTubers are getting tons of extra additional bonus content here, and hopefully they're enjoying it. Welcome back, everyone, to our second segment. England is considering selling Wembley. So the English FA who was, I don't know the right way to say this. I don't know if it was donated or I know they got public funds to help build Wembley. And I think it was something in the neighborhood of it cost $800 million or pounds to build it. Pounds? 800 million pounds to build it. And now they are looking to offload it to a private investor. Apparently, he's the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and Fulham. What's his name? Khan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's the owner of. Yeah,
Khan.
I don't know
It's
what
Khan.
year. Yeah. Saad Khan or Sahad.
Oliver?
Something like that.
Yeah, not Oliver Khan.
Oliver Khan,
Different Khan. But he's a private, business person, and the Wembley was built to be England's stadium, the national team, and to host a bunch of matches. Apparently, it's very, very expensive, and they're looking to just get it off their books so they don't have to worry about maintenance costs and all of that stuff. Christian, what do you make of this whole situation?
What kind of maintenance do they really have to do? It's used maybe 10 times a year.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the exact point. They're paying all of these costs to have something that they only use 10 to 15 times a year. And that's why they're bringing in NFL games. That's why that's why they have the 2 semifinals for the FA Cup there now, rather than before it used to just be the final.
It was?
Yeah.
I only ever remember there being
because
semifinals. There.
how long have we been following? It's only been since New Wembley has been built.
No, is that true?
Yeah, no, because
I remember when they were at the Millennium Stadium, they were doing that too.
Yeah, but that's the Millennium Stadium.
So this was the early 2000s then?
Yeah,
when they did the switch?
New Wembley was built, I want to say, around 2005. It was in the mid 2000s, and Millennium Stadium is another situation.
Definitely wasn't open in 2005 because that's when Liverpool played West Ham, and I was at the Millennium Stadium.
Okay.
I just want everybody to know.
Okay, that's fascinating.
It was that 3-3 game. It was pretty amazing.
Okay. Right. So let's get back to the topic and to the question.
Sorry, I think that it's a good idea. I think they should sell it. If they're paying all that money for no reason, selling it to someone who is going to get more use out of it makes sense. I think Spurs using it this year has really helped them. That's probably why they're considering it, because Spurs using it, they're going to have to do a lot of maintenance on it. I feel like the field maintenance, though, side of it, there can't be that much they have to do.
I don't know. I don't know enough about stadium infrastructure costs, but I got to imagine, it's got to imagine that there's still a ton of upkeep to it. And they're also selling it at a $200 million discount. They're selling it for 600 million pounds, and they bought it for 800, or they built it for 800
Maybe we
million.
should go in.
Pat, what are your thoughts here on this whole situation?
Yeah, from like a business aspect, I get why you want to sell it, because it's this huge mega stadium that's used so little. But it means so much to like the English soccer culture. That's where the finals are played. That's where the national team plays. It's the biggest stage in that country to perform at. I'm trying to think of, we don't even have anything I could compare that to here.
No, not in America. No, because everything is privatized. Like Madison Square Garden in basketball, a lot of times they say it's like the mecca of basketball, even though it doesn't really make sense to call it that. But that kind of maybe has that same mystique, but it's not even close.
Yeah, so like I can't even imagine something like that. Again, like the Super Bowl changes every year. It's like playing in the Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl stadium, but one stadium every year.
Yeah.
So it means so much culturally. It's just gonna be sad to see if they do sell it and if someone buys it. But I understand from a financial aspect why they would.
And we talked about this in the past, and we talked about FIFA doing things like this. I think we're going to talk a little bit later on a different topic, but what are the roles of these organizations, and the English FA, is its role just to make as much money as possible and function as a business, or is its role governance of the sport, and should it be more kind of general based, and should it be more focused on what Matt was touching on, like the cultural aspects of it and the impacts to the national team, and as soon as they sell it, they lose a lot of control on what it can be used for, and I guess, does it lose its mystique, and does England now play matches all around the country, and does it completely change the way soccer functions in England? I don't know. These are things to consider, and it's not just a simple like business decision.
I don't think it just comes down to, is it in charge of business or is it in charge of the cultural aspect of the sport? I think it's finding the right balance between the two is what the FA really is in charge of doing. And I think if you take Wembley away from the FA, if they sell it, is going to hurt the sport in England. I think it will. I think long-term it won't, but especially in the immediate time, everyone looks forward to getting to Wembley. That's why people want to get to the semifinals, the finals. people want to play for England so badly because they want to get to see what Wembley is like. If you take that away, what are you really playing? Yeah, you're playing for trophies, but there is something magical about being in that stadium. And if you're playing there so frequently, you're losing that little bit that they're offering.
Yeah, and just to be clear, it's not 100% fact that England would stop playing at Wembley.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So like England could be a situation where they're selling it, getting it off their books, and then they just pay this guy to rent it. And so then, it's all about managing the books and finances and things like that. But there is a risk that it does what Christian is talking about and loses its mystique. And
if they're using it every week for other sports, for different events, then it is going to lose that mystique, because you're going to be able to go there every week. It's not going to be, it's only open 8 to 10 times a year. So I can go really whenever I want.
Yeah.
See what it's like.
That's a good point. Matt, anything else you wanted to add?
No.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the last thing in our second segment here. So earlier in the season, Edinson Cavani and Neymar had Edinson?
Sure. Either one.
Whatever. Cavani had a problem with Neymar. There was a big thing where I think Neymar earned a penalty, and Cavani is the designated penalty taker on PSG.
I'm pretty sure he was going for the record at the time, too. I think it was, if he made that penalty, he was going to break the record for PSG goal scorers.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he missed.
Yeah, and then there was a whole big spat between Neymar and Cavani, and then I believe he ended up missing, and then there was, a whole big situation after the fact. And so everybody tried to downplay it on PSG, but it actually recently came out. Cavani came out and said that he did have a problem with everything that went down. And, you're hearing now other rumors and just things just about Neymar not maybe being the greatest team player. He wasn't in Paris when they officially clinched the title. I don't even think he was there for the Coupe de France. I could be wrong, but yeah, I think he's only just recently flown back to.
Yeah, he just like posts videos or pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
And is like giving thumbs up at him watching it on the TV.
Yeah.
Wasn't he playing poker, I think?
Yeah.
During one of the final?
Yep.
During the final?
Yeah, so something like that. And so, Matt, I wanted to get your thoughts here. I don't know how much of a fan you are of Neymar. I think, he's got skills and he's kind of, one of the next big players. But what do you make of just his behavior maybe at PSG?
Well, I think this whole year was basically for the money and for the publicity for Neymar. I think there was no way he was staying here for his career. I don't think this is his legacy. I think he did it because it was an incredible financial move for his life and his family. To get all the money he got from PSG, but I don't see, I knew this was never gonna work. His attitude has always kind of been, I feel like this. And with Cavani, I feel like he's once Ibra left, he actually finally got to be the guy, and I guess he loved that feeling. And him and Neymar, and it's not like Neymar has done absurdly well at PSG. I mean, he was doing well, but Cavani was doing just as well with goals and assists. So, and he's the striker, he's the number 9, he's the goal scorer. So I think he should be the one scoring goals. And it just doesn't surprise me at all that Neymar and Cavani are butting heads. And I'm sure Cavani also has his issues with certain teammates. I'm not saying he's the perfect guy, but he's been there longer. He's the goal scorer right now. So, I just saw this happening.
Can PSG win a Champions League with this team dynamic? Or do teammates need to get along? Does everybody need to be functioning well and moving in the same direction?
I don't think it necessarily needs to happen, but I think when you're friends with the people you play with and you care for one another, it does give you somewhat of an advantage.
No, I'd agree with that, and Real Madrid has proven the opposite, that you don't always need to get along and can still win. But, I think I tend to agree more with that. But Christian, your thoughts here?
What question would you like to be?
So the first one is just about Neymar's just general behavior at PSG. Can you understand it? Is he being completely unreasonable? What are your thoughts?
I think Neymar's personality is really hard to get along with. I think he's all about him, and like you said, he's one of the next big star players in soccer. I don't think we can call him that anymore. I think he's already a star player. I don't think he's up and coming anymore. He is what he is. He's 25 now? Yeah. He's in that prime. I don't think he's up and coming anymore. He is Neymar, and people know who he is. I think his attitude is going to hold him back from becoming a true legend of the game. I don't think he has that effectiveness in a game to win matches. Yes, we've seen it every once in a while, but he doesn't have that consistency. The players like Messi and Ronaldo and Maradona, Pele, those true legends who everyone rates top 5, top 10 players ever to play the game. He doesn't deliver every time. He has down games where you look at him and you say, what on earth was he doing out there today? And Cavani and him, they're butting heads because Neymar thinks he's the star. He thinks, hey, I came to this team. This is my team now. And you can't just walk in with all these players who have been there forever and have that attitude. Yet, like Thiago Silva is another legend there. I can't imagine he's going to like that. Yeah, they're Brazil teammates and they may get along because of that. But he's been the captain for a long time at PSG. And I couldn't get along with someone who walks in and acts like, hey, I own this place now.
Can PSG win with this team dynamic, win a Champions League? Because clearly they can win the league with their eyes closed. Can they win a Champions League with this team dynamic?
No. I think that you do need to have some type of coexisting where everyone gets along to some degree. You don't have to get along on a personal level, but on the field, you have to get along and understand what each other are going to do. You saw it with MSN. You're seeing it with Liverpool now. Those types of front threes, when they get along with each other, the dynamic is insane to watch. It's so it brings you so much joy to watch players who really love playing with each other and really get along. Yes, it helps if you're getting along on a personal level, but the true understanding of knowing where someone's going to be, not having that selfish attitude, which Neymar and Cavani both have. And I'm not saying strikers, they are selfish and they should be to an extent. But when you have that dynamic that some of these unselfish types of attacks have, which are the best attacks we've ever seen. And we talk about it all the time. MSN probably was the best trident we've ever seen.
Messi, Suarez, Neymar.
Yes. Sorry, at Barcelona. Yes. I just think you need that type of atmosphere to be successful at that level.
I think, yeah. Okay. So I think that it certainly helps, but I don't think you necessarily have to have it to be successful. These are professionals, and if they can get along on the field, it doesn't necessarily mean they have to be the best of friends off the field, but if they can be successful and professional on the field and do their jobs, I think that they can still win Champions Leagues. We've seen it with other teams that, it doesn't, not everybody's the best of friends and they've still won things. So I don't think it's impossible for PSG to win, but I think it certainly helps when everybody gets along and is enjoying themselves.
Like another example, I feel like Chelsea, and I don't know if anybody ever likes each other, but they win the league sometimes, but then eventually it explodes. And so it can win, but I don't think it's necessarily
long-term
sustainable. Yeah, it's not sustainable.
Exactly. And that's probably not what you want to do. But PSG has never won a Champions League, so maybe they're trying to buy it quickly rather than try to build something long-term. And then
this is proving you can't do that.
Well, not necessarily. It's just 1 year, right? So, we don't know how it's going to turn out next year.
Neymar's going to be there. Neymar may not be there next year. There's lots of rumors talking about that.
I would be shocked if he moved after just 1 year. I was shocked last summer when he moved. I'm not saying it's impossible for it to happen, but I would be shocked if he only went for one season. I think they
seemed like he wants it to be a pit stop. He's either going back to Barcelona or to Real Madrid.
Yeah, I think
he wants to be at one of those two teams.
That's what it seems like, but I still think that it would be odd for him to leave after only one season. They have a new coach coming in, Tuchel, and I think that it would be odd for him to leave right now. It was odd for him to leave Barcelona in the first place. So again, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I just think it would be weird for him to leave. Anything else you want to add, Matt?
So I do think PSG could win a Champions League because of their finances, and they have another summer and they could bring in pretty much anybody in the world. So I would never rule them out.
I feel like Mbappe's been underperforming too. They thought he was going to be that huge
What is he, 19, 18?
Yeah, but he wasn't what he was last year, and he is supposed to be.
I think he still played pretty well, and didn't he get hurt for a little bit?
I think he was hurt for a little bit, and also I think his stats are pretty similar. And they did he's on the team that won a domestic double. So I don't know. I can't say I followed PSG incredibly closely, so I don't know for a fact. I think last year he just burst onto the scene, and Monaco had that deep Champions League run, which may have skewed
and he scored
our views.
A lot in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And how we were saying, how Champions League skews your views of soccer. So I think he scored a bunch of important goals in the Champions League. So everyone. That's why he went for 160, 170 million.
Well, I thought it was 220.
I don't think it was quite that high. I think it was 180. But I could be wrong. But also, PSG may be under financial restrictions too. So it may be that they have to sell Neymar. So who knows what the hell is going to happen? But Excuse me. That brings us to the end of our second segment. You're going to hear a little bit more music, and then we will talk to you very soon. A little cough there.
A little bit. Hi, Matt.
That's all gone. Nope. You
All
got to
going.
make sure you're checking your phone. Can't have people not knowing where you are or what you're doing. Welcome back, everyone. We missed you. Getting into our last couple topics here, switching over to this side of the Atlantic, Rocco Commisso, who is the owner of the New York Cosmos, recently offered U.S. Soccer $500 million, so $250 million of his own personal money, and he said he could find $250 million more dollars from investors. Why are you guys laughing? Did I say something wrong?
No, I'm just like, it must be nice just to find $250 million from your friends.
I think we all know that game, but he offered $500 million combined to U.S. Soccer over the period of 10 years to basically say NASL can function as a D2 league without any restrictions. Quick disclaimer for anybody who may not know, in U.S. Soccer, we have division sanctions to designate what is considered our Division 1 league, Division 2, Division 3. And it's not just based on playing merit. It is based on owner net worth. It is based on stadium capacity. It's sometimes based on number of citizens in a metropolitan area and number of teams. Like, we have all these requirements that exist that aren't necessarily related to playing merits. Quick disclaimer here regarding European leagues. They actually have some of the same things, but that's a different story for a different day. Commisso is basically offering $50 million per year to U.S. Soccer to let him build the NASL over a period of 10 years. U.S. Soccer pretty quickly said, no, we're not doing that. But Christian, what do you make of him kind of going this route? Is it dumb of U.S. Soccer to say no to $50 million per year? What do you think?
Well, if we don't invest that $600 million in Wembley, maybe we should invest it in there
you go.
in the NSL.
Yep.
There you go.
We have a lot of money, both. Guys. Why don't we
just
do
both?
Do
everything.
Yeah, let's just do both.
Just spend all of our $1.2 billion. There you go.
Yeah.
Make America great again.
Deal.
1.1 billion. Yeah. Somebody doesn't work in accounting.
All right. So I think that
you were so focused on your joke.
I know,
that
it's
you
such a
lost
great
your train
joke.
of thought.
It's just such a great joke. I just don't understand what the point of this was. The U.S. Soccer always rejects this type of stuff. They don't want to change their system. It is what it is, and they're not going to change it. And it's unless they're offering $500 billion, I don't think the U.S. are ever going to change the NASL into what the USL is right now. It's just not going to change. And it isn't a direct comparison. That's not really what the USL is technically, but that's what they're looking to be. NASL wants to be more of an MLS too, right?
No, NASL wants to be an MLS competitor.
It says Division 2 standards. Right?
Yeah. So long term, NASL is an independent league. USL is very intertwined with MLS.
I did know that.
Yeah, there are what are the second teams of MLS teams in USL. There's a lot of times a business relationship between the two leagues. NASL wants to be a competitor to MLS in the long term.
Okay. Regardless, it's not going to happen. US are very hell-bent on keeping MLS is their top tier. That's the one that's on TV. That's the one that everyone wants to focus on. And I just can't imagine they're going to accept anything less than 10 to 15 to 20 billion dollars. That would be like incredibly ridiculous amounts of money thrown at them to change their entire infrastructure of how soccer works in the US.
Okay. And well, to me, this isn't even necessarily a change. This is just granting them waivers. And so $50 million a year, I think that's not that much money when you really break it down for a league to pay. And like, I just don't understand why, this money can just be used in so much better and more productive ways that I just don't understand this. But Matt, sorry, I want to get your thoughts here on this whole situation.
So I think for the development of like US soccer as a whole, like NASL just needs to kind of go away, like stay where it is right now. I think right now we have a system that makes somewhat of sense with a Division 1 and one Division 2 that is somewhat intertwined with the Division 1, even though it's not, promotion relegation. It's still a way those two leagues, are connected in a way. NASL, it's been, I think since I started following soccer, there's always just been a problem with NASL. the one thing I will say is like, I mean, it's hard. Like what Christian's saying, if they offer like billions of dollars, it's annoying because like it's so hard to say no to that money. And if they are investing that kind of money, you're going to be able to afford like players and teams and, market your teams and players, and eventually get TV deals. So like then, but I don't think like having two leagues compete against each other. When has that ever worked in any sport? And I'm trying to think like, is there any example of two like top tier leagues
The only time,
coexisting?
the only time that's worked is when they've merged.
NBA and ABA, and they merged and became a better league.
Well, NFL and the old, I think it was American Football League, like that. Yeah, that same thing happened, and then I think it happened back in the day with Major League Baseball too. So the only time it's been successful is when there are legitimate contenders to that other major league. What NASL has never been able to do is be a legitimate competitor and a legitimate, not opponent. I can't think of the right word. Differentiator. Yeah, I can't think of the right word, but a legit competitor to MLS. It's always been inferior product.
Yeah. So yeah, like what I was saying, like unless it's like an absurd amount of money being invested, I don't think it can legitimately compete or be beneficial to U.S. soccer.
Yeah, and the only thing I will say about the NASL is that so they've always been confrontational, but the one thing that I have liked is that they are fully independent. A lot of times with MLS and USL, you can kind of get a group think, and they are so intertwined. And sometimes it is good to have a legit contender independent league that is coming from a completely different perspective, because they're going to bring unique ideas and they're going to do things that may be for the benefit of the greater good, or at least the benefit for a different group of people, whereas MLS and USL may be a little bit more restricted on what they're doing. Now, the way soccer works the rest of the world, it's all run from a federation and through like US soccer, theoretically. So in England, they have the FA, and the FA and the Premier League and all of the football leagues underneath all of that are sort of intertwined. And it's okay because it's all synced up through the federation. Over here, the federation is completely separate. It's very intertwined with MLS, but it shouldn't necessarily be. And, there's a lot of conflicting relationships, and just soccer is just such a mess here. And I was talking to people about this weekend, and especially for non-soccer fans, they just can't understand what the heck is going on. And so for them, they just can't understand why we're not good. And the reason we're not good, in a broader sense in US soccer, is because there's so much infighting. It starts at the very youngest ages in youth development here, and it goes all the way up through our pro game. And it's such a freaking nightmare. And so I know this conversation has derailed a bit, and now I'm just complaining, but it's just so frustrating that we have tens of millions of soccer fans in this country, and it is so fractured. We have fans of European soccer. We have fans of MLS, we have fans of Liga MX, and just nobody seems to be marching in the same direction. And it's just so frustrating because there is so much potential for the game here, and it's just not realized because nobody can get everybody on the same page. And so for me, that's what's most frustrating about this whole situation. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Matt?
I will say, like, I am one of the people that probably does pay attention closer, like European soccer, but that's because like they have their shit together, and like that's the thing.
Well,
like,
yeah,
with
exactly.
The fans, yeah, and it's like it's so frustrating. Like what Dave's saying, like I get his frustration. Like that's why I don't put myself through it. It's like it's so frustrating to care about American soccer when like it's not really.
Well, it's never going to change if people just give up.
No, and I'm not saying people need to give up. What I'm saying is we need to have strong leadership, and we need to have people that take charge and just get everybody sort of marching in the same direction. And everybody, like the leaders.
When is that ever going to happen?
If you have a strong leadership, I mean, that happens in countries. I mean, if you get people that, like.
You need a dictator?
Yeah.
No. I'm not saying dictator. You can have strong leaders in a democracy. Like, I mean, Winston Churchill in England,
we need Winston Churchill.
No. I'm just citing
Winston
examples.
Churchill founded the FA, in case you guys wanted to know. I made that up.
Yeah, he most certainly did not. But what I'm saying is you can have leaders in a democracy, and if they're decisive, they lead in the proper ways. I mean, that's all I'm saying. And so I don't know what you're doing. So with that, let's move on to the last topic here. So not Cavani. I've lost my train of thought here. Things are going off the rails here. Yeah. Okay. So ASN, so American Soccer Now, recently put out an article about the top 100 American soccer players in the world right now. And so, we're not going to take you through obviously all 100 players, but just we'll tweet out the link and we'll have it linked in our show description, obviously, as we always do. But Christian, wanted to get maybe some of your thoughts. Is there anybody on this list that, like, I don't know, is surprising? Is the order, strange? I don't know. Just your initial thoughts.
I just want to say
should have gone actually.
Well, ASN looks like it stands for all snap.
All snap. Yes. Okay. So glad you made your joke, because now it's Matt's turn. Because actually, he should have gone first. I always forget my order. Yeah, Matt. Sorry. Get your thoughts first.
Yeah. Well, number one on the list obviously is Pulisic, which I think we all agree with. A couple of people I just wanted to say about Ike Opara, who has been performing extremely well in the MLS the last couple years. He's almost 40 on the list.
Yeah, on the list, I think he's number 29.
Oh, he's 29. I thought he was 39.
No,
he's 29. 29. But even then, I think he should be a little higher. He's been so consistent the last couple of years, and I want to see him more with the national team. I understand that he's low because maybe he doesn't have the national caps, but I really just want to see him perform at the next level, especially with another person I'll say is Omar Gonzalez. What's he?
He was 97.
He's 97 on this list, and he's been pretty much our regular center back these last couple of years. So I just want to see a little bit of change in that. Maybe the guy's performing well in the MLS to actually start playing for our national team, just to see how that works out. I'm trying to think of any other players that were. Oh yeah, and 83 I want to say was Landon Donovan. That's another player I want to shout. 83, I think. 83. Yeah, so I just want to say he's still alive and doing well.
Still out there kicking. Christian, your thoughts on everything here?
Yeah, how about that hairline from Landon Donovan these days?
He's just got to let it go. Just pull a Zidane, pull a Bradley, just bick it, or at the very least, just shave it tight. It's way too long.
Or just go full Tim Howard, grow your hair on your face.
Yeah,
get nothing.
Yeah, Donovan actually can grow a decent beard. So I'd agree with that.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so I think everyone, like Matt said, agrees with number one. Absolutely, no doubt. Pulisic is the best American player. There's no one questioning that. It's Omar Gonzalez at 97. I don't even think he should be on the top 100. I really, really do not rate him highly. I think every time he represents the U.S., it makes me want to punch myself in the face. It makes me want to punch him in the face and punch the coach that called him into the camp. I really, really think he is excessively overrated and needs to get out of contention. I really don't rate him highly.
Yeah, but he's number 97. I agree with that, but still, 97 is nowhere
too
close
high.
to being
There's a couple people on this list you have no idea who they are.
Yeah, I don't know. In the 50s, I wasn't sure who that George guy is. Sorry, Christian, continue.
All right, sorry, you're distracting me with all your movement here.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So Tim Howard at 71, I don't really agree with. I think that he still should be higher. I know he's aging now, and he's not the same player.
Well.
He's not the same player he was. For him to be below Brad Guzan just seems like a slap in the face. I don't agree with that decision. Graham Zuzi's pretty low on this list, 71. I don't really know if he's that poor now. I don't really watch him that often, so I just see him represent the U.S., and he seems like he does very average every time, but that's better than what most do. DeMarcus Beasley at 93 seems like the man that will never die. Yeah. He is honestly been around forever.
Yep.
And it's really funny to see him every time you do. But to focus more on the top, I think McKinney at number 2 might be a little high. He's a teenager, but he is extremely talented. And I'm glad that we're seeing a lot of teenagers in the top portion of our rankings. And John Brooks at 4, he's probably our best defender. Yeah. It makes sense, but he's always injured.
Well, I mean, he's ahead of him. He's a defender.
Yedlin?
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
No, I was more laughing at, we have, 2 teenagers on here? I guess Adams is there. For me, the most disappointing thing about all of this is just, the players who we had been hyping up for the last 5 years or so, the young players just haven't broken through. Whether it's... The goalkeepers, even Guzan, who wasn't even a breakthrough player, but just, he's way down on this list. You have guys like, Zardes is on here. Julian Green they're all down below 50. Juan Agudelo is 68. So many of these players who we had expected so many big things big things from are so far down on this list. Morris
he's
is on
still
here,
young,
and
too.
he's 23
Yeah,
and he
he's
tore
old.
his
But he
ACL.
didn't break through until what, 21, 22?
Exactly. So the players on here, we're talking about Jordan Morris there, but so the players on here, the most disappointing thing for me is that the guys towards the top of the list are kind of a lot of the guys that we already sort of knew, like Tim Ream is number 8. Like,
That's way too high.
you know,
I'm sorry.
but it's based on
like
how
even
they've been playing.
Christian
And-
Sandler, who's been on our podcast a bunch of times, he's a Fulham fan. That's where I think he's still there, right?
yeah,
He absolutely
yes.
like
That's
Fulham
Bolton.
fans
That
can't
looks like
stand him.
Bolton.
He
Yeah, but
makes-
that may be an older picture.
True.
like Fulham fans can't stand him. I'm gonna be honest. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of them complain about him making mistakes all the time, and the fact that he's ranked number 8 on the U.S. talent pool is embarrassing. I don't think he's good enough to be in that spot on our roster, in our pool. He isn't good enough to be in the top 10 players that we can offer. I think Jeff Cameron is clearly better than him. It seems, and this is somebody's choice of a list, and it's not to be taken that seriously. But the fact that some people are rating these people the way they are, I think Fabian Johnson's one of our most talented players. He may have fallen off a little bit recently, but he's more talented than Timmy Chandler, who's not been good enough since he broke through as well.
Yeah. So for me, again, it's just disappointing. Obviously I'm really excited about Pulisic and McKennie. Stefan is up there, and I'm really high on him. He's number 18. Cameron Carter-Vickers at 15.
Has he played even?
He plays for Sheffield United.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's been on loan. He played for somebody else, and then he switched, and I think he's on Sheffield now. But for me, it's just we have a lot of players that are at youth academy and maybe just starting to break through into the international kind of teams, non-domestic based players that I keep hearing about. And I just want to see them sort of do better than that whole, Nagbe, Zardes generation that are now into their mid to late 20s, and we never saw them break through. And, we're paying for that now. It's why we didn't qualify for a World Cup. You know what I think this boils down to, and I'm just having this realization, is this is why we're not at the World Cup. We didn't go to the last 2 Olympics. All the players that should be in the prime of their career aren't really here. And we're seeing a lot of guys that are young and breaking through, and guys that are kind of in the late 20s or early 30s. And that's what's probably most disappointing and indicative of this whole list. Yeah, we see some guys like Roldan on this list, and he seems to be doing a little bit better. But even Will Trapp's mid-20s, and actually, now that I think about it, Roldan is early in his professional career, but I think he's still 23, 24, I want to see those young players who are starting to break through at the end of their youth academy and into the professional team really start to take this next step. So I think that's what I could take away from this list.
So are you blaming the national team performances for how good they are, or do you think this comes from their club level?
No, this comes from club level and how they've developed. I don't blame the national team for player development. It's not on the national team to develop players. It's on the players to take those steps. I blame MLS to a certain extent. I blame the choices these players made in their career and just their own personal development. So that's more what I blame. I don't necessarily blame the national team for this. I might blame the federation for not having the system set up in place to develop these players, but it's to me not a U.S. national team issue.
We always say this, so do we have talent then? Because it seems like if you're not blaming the U.S. national team, where is the talent? As we're looking at this list, we see 5 talented, legitimately talented players maybe. So where is the talent?
The talent wasn't developed. We had players that could have developed. If Nagbe would have gone overseas at 24, right? If 23 or something like that. He was incredibly talented, and he stayed in MLS too long, and he wasn't challenged to that next level. MLS is improving now, and I think it's a different scenario where players could potentially stay here and develop.
But now he's
but
prime,
you
so
know,
it's too late.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but so many people they go to that change and then they just end up on the bench. They make that next step.
Yeah, but he could have gone somewhere where he could have made
an impact. And the thing is, they didn't make the right next step. So you go and you sit on the bench is not the right next step. You need to know your place. So instead of jumping from, you pull a Breck Shea, instead of jumping from MLS to Stoke, that was too big of a move for him. If he would have jumped from MLS
he was
to
one of the best players in the MLS.
Fulham.
Exactly. Well, no, not necessarily.
So
Fulham.
how is Stoke Jeff Cameron's playing there? He's
Yeah,
doing fine.
it's but yeah, and
But
but
each player's
5 or 6,
different.
every player's different, and 5 or 6 players for every Jeff Cameron, there's 10 players that it didn't work out. What I'm saying is you need to kind of almost know your lane, and instead of jumping straight to the Premier League, I mean, it's easy to say this because
people put that pressure on him too.
exactly, and
That
this
they
is his
said,
professional career.
He's
I'm
the
never gonna
American Bale. Like that's way too much pressure to
Yeah,
put on someone.
and so that's why I'm not saying it's every situation is different. And so I'm not blaming Breck Shea necessarily for taking that. I mean, I'm sure there was tons of money involved in that. And at a certain point, you're only going to get so many opportunities to join the Premier League. But sometimes you need to bet on yourself and understand that maybe for the benefit of your career, it makes sense to go to a Denmark, or it makes sense to go to a Norwegian league, transition into Europe first, and then go to a bigger club. That's all I'm saying. And it's easy to sit here on our couch right now. None of us played professionally. None of us are anywhere near as talented as these players. And so, I just want to have that caveat. But the reality of the situation is we're all sitting here and these guys are doing, incredible things. I'm just saying at a general sense, that's what I'm saying.
I just don't see the talent. That's where I think.
Yeah, and I fundamentally disagree.
I really just don't see it.
You don't see the end product talent, but I see the potential. I would agree that our talent isn't there, but I see the potential for players to become those players.
I don't know because it
doesn't. I agree with that,
and that's scary for a lot of fans.
When I was growing up,
what Matt said.
I played soccer against some of the best kids in the country, kids that are pro now. I played kids that are that good, and I was never blown away. If I stepped on a basketball court, I would get blown away with our best players. That's where I think that we don't have the talent. I legitimately think we don't have talented people wanting to play soccer, and that's where I think the fundamental thing is.
But that's the sport of soccer. I think in basketball you can dominate. Yeah, you can dominate from that.
If I walked on a field with Messi when I was in high school and he was in high school, I would have been blown away.
I agree.
Yes.
But if I played against...
He's the best player of all time.
Okay, maybe not Messi, but say if I was playing against who's your typical
Sterling.
Izquierdo on who is he on Brighton and Hove?
I don't even know who you're talking about.
He's still Watford, I thought.
Izquierdo?
Oh no, he is on Brighton now.
Yeah. He's the Colombian winger. He's unreal. I feel I would still be blown away by him. He's so skillful.
Okay.
There's so many skillful people. I generally don't see.
But there's a lot of people who are center defensive mids who aren't going to blow you away by skill, but what they do in their role is so important, and they're really, really good at it.
Yeah, and this gets back to a conversation that we had before. Again, I see potential, but what we do in the American system is we produce robots that are very, very
one-dimensional
and very molded by coaches. They're not shaped by their own experiences, and that comes from kids playing in more free development system or more free roles. And so what we do in the U.S. is we have very structured, regimented programs for coaches to follow, for players to follow. And what ends up happening is we produce really good athletes that don't necessarily have the creative minds and don't always necessarily
the right skill set.
Have the right skill set to take that next level and be recognized as these really talented players. Yeah. So I know you disagree, and I don't know. I see a tide turning. And so, I would say the guys that are in their mid to late 20s missed this, but I think there are a ton of youth players right now that are coming through the system, whether it's here in MLS or abroad, and that I am excited about the potential for the U.S. in the future. You just aren't? You don't think we have the talent?
Where when is that going to pay off? What age group? What youth?
Or Dave's thinking
what youth? No, yeah, but even the youth.
2022.
I'm talking about the youth teams. When is our youth team? When are we going to qualify for the Olympics again? When are we going to perform at when are we going to perform at a Club World Cup? I've still never seen that.
Yeah. Well, I would expect us to qualify for the next Olympics.
Okay, yeah, but qualifying for the next Olympics, okay.
Yeah.
Go on. That's the CONCACAF.
But
I want to perform it. When's the next time we're going to perform at a Club World Cup? Not a Club World Cup, a Youth World Cup.
Yeah. Youth World Cups aren't even necessarily indicative of competing. What does it matter?
Right?
Nigeria wins Youth World Cups all the time. They've never, I don't even think, made it past the quarterfinals at a World Cup. Youth World Cups aren't necessarily translated to the national team level.
No African team has ever made the semifinal, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. But so it's not necessarily youth development, and specifically those age ranges doesn't necessarily mean much for the national team level. What matters is just the age groups developing in a broader sense. and keeping that talent pool going. And what we've always struggled with in the US is keeping that talent from 18 to 22 continuing to develop. Now there's a ton more focus on that, and there's a lot more interest and drive from the players themselves to go overseas and challenge themselves in more challenging environments. And I think that we are going to have that development reaped on the back end of things. Christian, anything else you wanted to add?
Nope.
Matt?
Nope.
Somebody say something.
So guys, what's the
All right.
next
Sorry, I had to
thing you
cough
wanna
and
do?
couldn't mute the mic because we are all recording together in live
We're
in
good
one
at this.
person. Okay, thank you for muting the mic, Christian.
You're welcome. I just wanted to show you how to do it.
Yeah, before we
Easy
get
to
to
know.
our listener questions and anything else mentioned, I want to give a couple quick plugs. So check out Fan Futsal. I'm the founder of Fan Futsal, which is a simplified fantasy soccer website, fanfutsal.com. Also, check out the Soccer Tavern YouTube channel. I'm on there making videos about the history, culture, and philosophy of the beautiful game. We're doing a soccer speak series where we're giving you the background behind some terminology in soccer. Videos that we've released already have been Panenka and Nutmeg. Cap is coming out tomorrow, and then we'll do one more called Pitch. Not called Pitch. We'll do one more about why the field is called a pitch in soccer. And then we will release 33 videos before the World Cup, one for each national team, and then an overview video on the World Cup. So go check out the Soccer Tavern on YouTube. Listener question. So we had one listener question from @ResearchMike. So thank you for sending in the question. And he said, "Can you talk about West Brom taking care of Tottenham?" I was unfortunately at a bachelor party. I missed this game, but maybe just quickly, Christian, your thoughts on West Brom on this ridiculous run that they're on? Any thoughts here? Or you think they're definitely going down? You need to please lean up and get closer to the mic. Thoughts?
Too late.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah, as much as I randomly hate West Brom for no legitimate reason, I just pick them to hate. It would be incredible to see them stay up, but I just think it's 1 or 2 weeks too late when they went on this crazy run.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Because even if Southampton and Swansea tie this week each other and then both lose at the end, I think there's a slight possibility, but I just don't see it happening. So unfortunately, too little, too late, but it is incredible what they've ended up doing. A couple other quick things I wanted to mention. So we missed this last week because we were running a little bit long. Congrats to Chivas winning CONCACAF Champions League. They won it on penalties over Toronto. Good series. And then this is Iniesta's last season at FC Barcelona. So just wanted to shout him out as being a great, just a fantastic career. Okay. So any thoughts on Iniesta? Any thoughts on Iniesta, Matt?
He's gonna go down as a top 10 midfielder all time. He's had an incredible career. He's won. Danny Alves has the trophy record right now.
I think so.
Yeah, but he's probably won top 5 most silverware. He's the only one to win man of the match at World Cup, Europa final, and Champions League final. I mean, he's one of the best ever. He had an incredible legacy. It's tough to see him go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the Premier League predictions. So top 4, and then who's going down? Christian.
Well, I want to say Iniesta's pretty great too.
That's great. Top 4, and then
top 4 will be City, United, Spurs, and Liverpool, and bottom 3 will be Southampton. Will be 18th. 19th is Stoke, and West Brom will finish last, even though they're on this crazy run.
All right, Matt, thoughts? Top 4?
I think City's going to win the league.
All right, bold prediction.
All right, yeah, so City, United. I guess Tottenham. I'm going to go Chelsea just to piss you guys off real quick.
It's legitimate. Like, Liverpool's really stumbling to the end here.
And then bottom 3, you're going to go Stoke, West Brom, and I think Swansea. I think Southampton's I think they have a little bit more talent. I'm going to hold them off.
Yeah, so
Swansea having the 2 home games will be the difference.
Yeah, that's good. So I'm actually gonna go with Matt's relegated. I think that's the those are my 3. So Stoke bottom, West Brom, and then Swansea, and then I will go with City champions, United second, and I will say Liverpool hang on to 3rd and Tottenham finish 4th because that was what I said before the season started, and so I'm sticking to it. Actually, I think I may have United and Liverpool switched, but those are my predictions there. Christian, do you want to recap our trivia question?
Yep, trivia question this week is: United played in their 58th stadium this week, and I think they won in 50 of them. Only 2 teams have won in more stadiums. Can you name those 2 teams and how many wins each of them had?
Okay, Matt, you want to give your thoughts?
It's like this is like all time.
Yeah.
I would have assumed they played in more stadiums, but
Really?
Just in England, just because all the
Yeah.
stadiums are like hundreds of years,
Yeah.
not hundreds of years old, but they're all like really old. I guess I probably would have assumed that too, but probably because they've only been in the top 2 divisions, so they only, there's a lot of same teams
So
being
now I'm
played.
trying to think like if it's a team that's going up and down a
Oh,
lot.
actually, yeah. I
Yeah,
didn't even think
so-
about that.
I'm gonna say Leeds because I feel like they've been all over the place, and Chelsea.
All right. Those are interesting. So I hadn't thought about that. So based on what Matt said, I'm actually going to say Burnley now and Everton. Christian, thoughts?
It's gonna be like Liverpool and Arsenal.
Yeah, I know.
Liverpool and Chelsea.
Liverpool.
Yeah.
Oh, you got Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liverpool are 54. Chelsea are 51.
All right. So we were close.
Kinda.
We weren't close.
We
I
were
was
close.
just joking.
You guys didn't
Oh,
give me
Matt
the
got
number,
Chelsea.
but yeah.
But that's fine. Yeah. Listeners, hopefully you got it correct or at least did better, and we're closer to the numbers. Thank you for listening this week. You can check out links to all the stories we discussed here in our show notes. We'll also tweet them out from our Bros Talking Soccer Twitter handle, which is @BTSoccerPod. If you want to get in contact with us, our email is bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com. Please check out our website, brostalkingsoccerpodcast.com. You can read about us, check out past episodes, and so much more. Lastly, we've been doing this for over a year and probably a half at this point. It would really mean a lot to us if you left a review, just something either on iTunes or whatever podcasting platform you listen. It would just really help us out, mean a ton to us. So if you could do that, we'd greatly appreciate it. So thank you again, Christian and Matt. It was wonderful being here in person. I'm excited to do it again next week. And listeners, thank you for being here. We will talk to you soon. See you, everyone. All right, cool. Thank you, everybody watching on YouTube. Let me shut this thing down. There we
Are
are.
there any questions?
I highly doubt it.
All right.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay, nope,
Oh, one
yep,
watching.
just us.
Is that
Go
it?
on then.
I think it might be us. So, all right,
us,
see everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I look good. Bye.